Le Nissan Kick-Play 2025 a beaucoup de plus. Apple CarPlay intégré pour jouer vos tunes préférées, des fonctions avancées de sécurité, un rendement énergétique remarquable, puis même la petite odeur de char neuf qu'on aime tant. Tout ça en plus pour moins. Le Nissan Kick Play 2025 est le véhicule neuf le plus abordable au Québec. Achetez-le à partir de seulement 22 774 $, incluant un rabais à l'achat comptant de 2 600 $. Profitez de cette offre avantageuse chez votre concessionnaire dès maintenant. Jusqu'au 2 mars, des conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
They are welcome here, but they must embrace this culture and then contribute. We have a lot of difficulty in some schools. We see that people are staying with their own group, and we want some more diversity, and we want people to go and to talk to each other. We don't want some ghettos.
That's Jean-François Roberge speaking about a bill to favor integration in the province. It says it's aimed at uniting Quebecers through a social contract based on shared values like democracy, gender equality, secularism, and the French language. It says also it's going to add to previous bills like Bill 96 and Bill 21 to give Quebec its pride back. Let's now talk to Patrice Brunet, who joins us in studio, immigration lawyer. Hi, Patrice. How are you?
Morning. I'm pretty good, thanks.
I imagine just with everything changing, immigration-wise, federal government, it must be a crazy time for you.
It's crazy times. I mean, the emails come in very rapidly. Yeah. And we need to address them. There's a lot of confusion.
A lot of confusion. So I want to talk to you about this proposed integration bill. Because I may actually be partial. I've said it on the show. We need to do a better job of integrating immigrants. I think it's a noble goal. Integrate immigrants in society. Very noble. What I scratch my head over is how you legislate it. How do you legislate it? Now, let's tackle that first. I mean, I don't know we have too many details, but from your lawyer perspective, if you're going to do a bill on this, how would you do it?
It's a good question. I mean, I think, and we haven't seen the bill. It's going to be published tomorrow. We'll look at the details. But I think that what they want to do with this is to provide some legislative guidelines for schools, for hospitals, for communication within the government, through the government and with the population. And you know what? It's not a bad thing, because now everybody's just sort of taking a rabbit out of a hat, and they're improvising on a weekly basis. Something happens. We saw what happens with the Muslim community, with the schools.
Bedford School, right?
Bedford schools.
11 teachers.
Yeah. So we saw that, and of course that was against the existing rules. You don't need to fix something that's already in the rules. Yeah. But I think it's going to remove some improvisation from the government. But the devil's going to be in the details, because we can't go on having a message from the top that says French good, English bad, or other languages bad. Yeah. We can't do that. We live together. Language is, of course, it's attached to culture. It's very important, but it's also a communication tool. Yeah. We need to communicate between each other. If we stop communication and we resist, and people say, "Well, I'm not going to speak to you in English," we're breaking some big bridges that have taken decades to build.
But I wonder how you think it's going to play out. I'm looking at the first two ones, right? The shared value, democracy, gender equality. Okay. Yeah. So how do you legislate that? And then how do you not enter a legal challenge scenario if someone says, wait a minute, democracy, gender equality, oh, you're targeting my religion? You know what I mean? Like, based on those two things, this is not what you're actually trying to do here is single out a certain religion on this, right? Yeah. Does it open itself to challenges on that?
Probably. Again, I'll repeat it. Devil's going to be in the details. They're talking about, they're throwing some ideas of prohibiting praying in public. I mean, how can you do that? Praying in public. To tell the truth, is that a problem? For people praying in parks.
So like one or two people taking a moment and praying in public, nobody's got an issue with that.
Right.
But let me tell you, when I see the video in front of Notre Dame Basilica, where it's I don't know, dozens of people that close down the street and pray of another religion, it kind of feels like intimidation a bit. Yeah. And people do have, like, I know our listeners have a problem with that, right? So those are the devils in the details. But again, how you legislate that to me seems astounding.
Well, it's a question of where should the government put their hands in and where they shouldn't.
Yeah.
What can the government control? Yeah. What can't they control? And, it's the soft stick approach or the carrot approach.
Yeah.
I think the government, if we're just shifting angles here, I think the government has been shortchanging the population on investment in culture and on those things that bring the population together. Film and television productions are going down, have been going down for years, and the industry is screaming. And that's how those are vectors of communicating your culture. It's not by hitting on the head of those who are are interested in other cultures. You have to be interested in other cultures.
Let me throw this at you. Maybe I'm forcing you to advocate for maybe a position that an immigration lawyer wouldn't necessarily take. We're with Patrice Brunet, an immigration lawyer, talking about Quebec's proposed integration bill. Sometimes I've heard governments say, listen, we want immigrants, but what we would like to do is tell them where they have to live, okay? So that not 80% ends up in your one major city, right? We would love if we have immigrants, but we tell them you got to go live in Chibougamau, right? And then I always, right away, Constitution, right to free movement. And I'm like, can't we split the difference somehow, right? I wonder from your immigration lawyer perspective, how you feel about things like that.
Well, I mean, people, even if they are on a temporary status here, people are not goods. But at the bottom of this, the best factor of integration is to have a job. So if you're sending the temporary workers or even the new permanent residents, if you're sending them out to Chibougamau and they don't have a job that coincides with their education, you're going to have a failure decades later that you're going to reflect on. Saying, well, we made a mistake. So, of course, naturally, some people will come to big cities because they have family and they have communities and they have groceries, and that's a factor of adaptation. Now, we have to stop focusing on the first generation. We have laws in place, Bill 101, that will put your minor kids in school, in French school. They have to go to French school, and they will adapt. So second generation, they will adapt. We have to break those that ghettoization that we saw with Bedford School. We have to break that. We have to act. But we have to also let the population live.
Do you think this bill, again, we don't know any of the details, but can you do a bill with the lofty goal of legislating integration without also invoking the notwithstanding clause? And as the Quebec government likes to do, preemptively doing so. Well,
I mean, the Supreme Court will rule on that. They just accepted the challenge. And whether the notwithstanding clause has been invoked in legislation, and that's going to be challenged from the Supreme Court. It'll be interesting to see how the Supreme Court interprets this, whether that the derogation clause was used in the right way, or it should have been used more sparingly. But it's there. The Constitution was brought back in 1981. The Charter of Rights was signed without the participation of Quebec. So there's.
Can I throw one thing? This is a story from my life, and I've thought about it in this whole integration thing. I was playing softball. This is a couple summers ago. Côte-des-Neiges, league game in Côte-des-Neiges. So I'm playing softball, and there is a group of, and they're immigrants, and I see they have their cricket bats. Like they would have, if there wasn't a game, they would have used our field to play cricket, right? It's a group of 9 or 10 men, and they're watching us play. It's a co-ed softball league. They're watching us play. Break during an inning. And I go over to them. I said, hey guys, why don't you join our league? I said, guys, all you need to do is find a couple. We're a co-ed league. You need to have 2 girls. I said, find a couple of girls and join our league. When I said find a couple of girls, they looked at me like I was from Mars. Okay. Yeah. And, I know there's good-natured politicians, right? Who say, we need to build more facilities for other sports like cricket, like things like from people who are coming to Quebec and they have different sports, we should build facilities. And part of me says, integration, not so sure. Maybe the best thing is like, hey, we've got hockey, we got softball and soccer in the summer. Let's stick to that. Let's all get together, right? But I wonder again, legislating that, how do you do it?
I really don't know. I'm not a legislator, but I mean, your example is great.
Yeah.
I lived in Dubai for a couple of years, and they didn't try to integrate me. I was still doing my activities. I was cycling on the road, and I would have found it odd, and even I would have considered leaving before my 2 years if they had forced me or invited me too strongly to play cricket, or to play another sport. I wanted to do my things. I was there. I was just barely there. So, and I adored my period there.
But there's a difference between a transient visitor and someone who says I'm building my life in a place.
For sure.
Anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to touch on before I let you go?
Well, it's really about what the government wants to control and what they can control. Yeah. It looks like now what they're going to be publishing tomorrow is things that they want to control, that praying in public and these things. That's going to be touchy from a legal perspective.
Yeah. Okay, Patrice, listen, you're always very insightful. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Patrice Brunet, immigration lawyer.